The hands won't go completely still. Not much, just a tremor in the left hand. Residual, the hepatologist says. At rest, it's almost invisible. Then I shift my weight, or I think of something I don't want to think of, and there it is. Marty Gerard Callahan, 61 years old, Irish-American, second generation, former mortgage-backed securities trader for Bear Stearns, sitting in a rented apartment in Hoboken at 11:17 on a Tuesday morning when the market opens and my hands remember there's somewhere they used to be. I never made it to the opening bell on time if I hadn't taken the morning position first. The morning position. Every trader knows it. Before you do anything else, before you check Bloomberg, you check your morning position. What are you carrying? What's your exposure? What happens to you specifically if the market opens wrong today? For 19 years, I ran that check on markets. For 18 of those years, I was running it on myself first. 2 ounces of Johnny Walker Black, 45 minutes before I left the apartment. That was the opening position. 2 ounces and the tremor stopped. The chest stopped running. My hands came back to me. On a bad day, a high volatility day, I might need 2.5. On a good day, 1.5 was enough. I called it getting straight. I did not call it what it was. I grew up in Yonkers. My father drove a delivery truck for Tropicana for 31 years. They put me through Fordham on savings and a loan from my Uncle Thomas, and when I walked onto the fixed income trading floor at Lehman Brothers in 1999 at the age of 34, late start, I'd come up through back office, clearing and settlement. I understood 2 things completely. The first was that I had arrived somewhere I was not supposed to be. The second was that I had no intention of leaving. The desk was MBS. I want to be clear about what I did and what I didn't do. I did not structure the products. I was the executor. I bought and sold what the structure is built. I was the man in the room who kept the inventory turning, the one whose job it was to know at any given moment exactly what was on the book and exactly what it was worth. I was good at that job. By 2005, I had moved to Bear Stearns on a desk that paid better. My bonus in 2006 was $340,000. The drinking started as culture. I want to be precise about that because it matters. September 2001. The office was 8 blocks north of the World Trade Center. We were back at our desks within 2 weeks. The sessions ran 16 hours. Tom Rafferty, senior manager, early 50s, Montclair, sharp dresser. Tom would come by the desk at 7. You need to decompress, Marty. Go to McMahon's. McMahon's Pub, Broad Street, 2 blocks from the office. The bar that served the firm. Bourbon was the drink. Jack Daniel's Black Label, neat, no ice. Everyone ordered it. It was institutional, as deliberate a part of the culture as the Bloomberg terminal or the morning briefing. You worked hard, you drank, you came back the next day. The drinking was not hidden. The drinking was celebrated. 2 to 3 double pours, nights. That's where it started. I cannot tell you exactly when it crossed over. I've tried. I've traced the timeline backwards more times than I can count, trying to find the specific day, the specific morning, when what I was doing changed from culture of the firm to something else. I can't find it. It doesn't have a date. That's what no one tells you about alcohol. the legal drug, the celebrated drug, the one in every airport lounge and client dinner and year-end open bar. There is no prescription, no receipt, no moment where a doctor hands you something and says, "This is the starting line." It enters through the front door with your name on the guest list, and by the time you understand what it's done to you, it's been living there for years. But I can tell you when I knew something had changed. September 2004, 3 in the morning. I woke up with my heart running, not racing, running, the sustained elevated pace of an engine that won't drop back to idle. 20 minutes, it wouldn't stop. I went to the kitchen. I took 2 ounces of Jack Daniels. The heart slowed within 4 minutes. I went back to bed and slept until 6. I remember thinking, that worked. Not, something is wrong. That worked. By 2006, the morning dose was structural. I used a shot glass with measurement lines. I still own it, empty now, in the cabinet, because I was precise about it the way I was precise about position sizing. 2 ounces, stable. The tremor stopped, the chest settled, the hands came back. 3 ounces, overhedged. Risk of impairment on the path into Manhattan. 1.5 ounces, underexposed. The tremor would show by 10 a.m. Colleagues would notice. I could not have colleagues noticing. I managed the morning position like a book. I had parameters. I had discipline. I had a methodology. The problem with using a risk instrument to hedge a risk is that you never actually reduce the risk. You move it. You change its shape. You make it invisible on one side of the ledger by burying it deeper on another. I knew this. Professionally, I'd known it since my first year on the floor. The positions that killed firms were always the ones being managed with instruments that contained the same underlying exposure. You thought you were neutralizing the risk when you were compounding it. I was doing this to myself. I just couldn't see it from inside the position. By 2007, I was taking 750 milliliters a day, the full bottle, a fifth of bourbon per day, managed the way you manage a portfolio, never so much at once that the performance degrades visibly, always enough that the withdrawal doesn't appear. Diane knew. She didn't say it in those words. Megan, 9 years old, said in my presence in 2006, "Daddy smells funny." Diane went quiet. I changed the subject. Nobody said the next sentence. That's the thing about a legal substance in a culture that normalizes it. Nobody says the next sentence, because to say it would require calling it something. The bonus in 2007 was lower. The MBS market was starting to show things, spreads moving in directions that didn't make sense if the underlying assumptions held. I saw it. I knew enough to see it. I kept trading because that's what you did. Bear Stearns collapsed on March 14, 2008. The actual collapse, the 48-hour run that ended with J.P. Morgan buying the firm for $2 a share, happened in 2 days. I was still on the desk at 7 p.m. on March 13th. Nobody was talking in full sentences. By March 17th, I had no job, no desk, no morning structure, no reason to take the train into Manhattan, no Bloomberg terminal. What I had was the bottle in the cabinet above the refrigerator. For 7 years, the bottle had been the instrument I used to get to the work. Without the work, the instrument had no target. It just had me. September 15, 2008, Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy. I called the old Lehman fixed income number, the one I still had memorized from 6 years before. Someone picked up. I started talking, trying to ask something about the book, the positions, what was happening. I couldn't finish a sentence. "Who is this?" I hung up. I was sitting on the floor of the Willow Avenue apartment, phone in my hand, at 10 in the morning, and I could not complete a sentence about the thing I had spent 9 years becoming competent at. Not because I didn't know, because my blood alcohol level at 10 a.m. was high enough that the words wouldn't organize. I sat on that floor for 2 hours. Diane asked for a separation in 2011. The divorce was final in 2013. I was present for 12% of the things a husband is supposed to be present for. Not a number I made up. I went back through the calendar files on my old laptop in 2020. Birthdays, school events, parent-teacher conferences, the actual texture of a family's life. 12%. The rest, working, traveling, or I had been drinking by the time it was scheduled. Caitlin is 32, Boston. Social work, child welfare. I appreciate the irony. She calls once a month, about 12 minutes, always courteous. The courtesy feels like what's left of something else. Megan is 29, Queens, a teacher. I haven't spoken to her since December 2018, the Christmas I drove to her apartment in Sunnyside having been drinking. She didn't let me in. She said, standing in her doorway, her 2 children behind her, "Not in front of them," and she closed the door. That was right. I stopped drinking November 9, 2019. No intervention, no hospital. I did AA for 8 months, which helped some things and didn't help others. Mostly I stopped because I had been awake at 3 a.m. in this apartment for 4 consecutive nights with liver pain that felt like a hand squeezing the right side of my abdomen, and my GGT was 411, and the hepatologist said the word cirrhosis in the careful phrasing of a doctor who isn't diagnosing it yet, but is holding it as a real possibility. And I was 61 years old, with a tremor in my left hand, and an ex-wife in a house I used to own, and a daughter who wouldn't open the door. I had a relapse in March 2020. COVID lockdown, week 1. 3 days, I count it. It's part of the record. 4 years and 5 months without a drink, counting the relapse honestly. The neuropathy is permanent. The GGT has come down to 108. That's improvement, in increments of 108 units per deciliter. I have insomnia, maximum 5 hours a night. I lose words mid-sentence sometimes, the way you lose a trade during a system outage. The position's still there, but the screen gone. I have background anxiety that doesn't spike and doesn't leave. The constant ambient sound of a machine that used to run hot and now just runs. Every morning I walk to the waterfront, 9 o'clock. From the railing at Sinatra Drive, I can see Midtown Manhattan across the Hudson. On a clear day, I can see 383 Madison Avenue, or where it was. The building has been renovated, different name, different tenant, no Bear Stearns sign, no trading floor, nothing left of what organized 9 years of my life. I know the address by heart. Tom Rafferty retired in 2011, lives in Jupiter, Florida. His LinkedIn profile has a photo from McMahon's pub. Years ago, desk colleagues, all of them with bourbon in their hands, all of them looking like men who have earned something. I don't know what I'm looking for in it. Maybe the moment, a specific frame, a specific pour, where the morning position stopped being about work. I can't find it. The moment doesn't exist as a moment. It was distributed over years of Tuesday evenings and client dinners and the culture of a desk that celebrated as a team, drank as a team, and fell apart as a team, while the thing building in our bloodstream stayed behind, as personal as debt. I still use this mug every morning, the one with the golden bear. Bear Stearns, the institution that ceased to exist on March 17, 2008. The porcelain is chipped at the rim. It still holds heat. I have never put it in a box, never decided to replace it with something that doesn't have a bankrupt institution's logo on it. What I think is closer to the truth. It's the one object I have that connects me to the version of myself that worked. The version whose hands moved fast across a keyboard for 9 hours, who understood, at a level that's difficult to explain to someone who hasn't done it, the specific satisfaction of holding a position through volatility and being right. That version drank 800 bottles of bourbon over 18 years and destroyed 3 relationships and lost a house and can't see straight at 5 a.m. and hasn't been useful to a trading desk since George W. Bush was president. The mug just holds coffee now. Some mornings I make a list, old habit from the desk, positions organized, risk laid out in columns. Now the columns are just walk to waterfront, call pharmacy, call Caitlin, maybe this week, eat before noon. I wrote Megan's name down once, in the column, as a task. I couldn't figure out what to write next to it. The train went by. The ice finished melting in the glass. I still haven't touched the water.